back from that disaster of Normandy, United Assault Normandy 44, that roguelike first-person shooter set in World War II that just, I tried to load it again, it crashed. I tried again a second time, and it crashed, came back, and then it crashed again. So I've decided to switch gears, and we're doing a different game now. And of course, I've got to knock the audio down, because if I don't, it is going to be loud, and it's going to overpower the stuff here. So we're going to put it down to 2. Hopefully that'll be enough and whatnot. So we're going to go and do that. This is a racing game I talked about, Orbital Racer. And here on the Gaming Roundtable again, John, you're with me, right? I'm assuming?
Yep.
Okay, so right Posthuman guy, John, he's here. We just watched a bunch of Normandy. I did try to do a part 2. It barely ran, and then it just crashed. So we're just going to leave it alone for now. Maybe they'll get an update. Yeah, it needs a rest and a long vacation. In the WWE, we're going to just, good luck in your future endeavors. We're going to future endeavor you for right now.
Maybe it takes a bit to like regenerate all the enemies.
Yeah, maybe. It might take a minute. And so I'm hoping, because that game, that was supposed to be World War II, and that game lasted about as it was nowhere near the length of what the, whatever. So anyway, but we're going to play this game, and I've already played a little bit of it. I've got a career mode. There's tutorial, obviously, which I've already completed. There is a local multiplayer, which is interesting. It's not online. It's a local. And we're going to get into this career mode. And this is a unique racing game. I've not played anything quite like it. I can start a new career, or I can continue, right? We'll hit continue because, I don't think it really matters if I start a new one or not. I had to choose a vehicle. All the vehicles look similar. They just have slightly different, stats and things. And this is loading. Hopefully it doesn't crash. And we'll go from there. And that's what we're doing here. And here we go. So this is the round I'm on. I'm currently ranked on here as 6th, and we're going to start this. And you can play this game in there's 2 different camera modes, another indie title here, but you can be outside the vehicle or cockpit mode. Believe it or not, cockpit mode is the better of the 2, typically in racing games. It's a novelty. I like cockpit mode, but most games that I like playing in third person, you have better spatial awareness. But in this game, it is actually better to play in the cockpit, strangely enough. So
that does not look like a racing game for the Flat Earthers, though.
No, it doesn't. The Flat Earthers would be very upset by this. So here we go. You basically fly through these checkpoints, and your ship has like a drift effect when you're turning. So you kind of want to use your camera to turn and get through this.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, and you every time you go through 3 checkpoints, you get like a missile to launch at them, or you'll get a mine, But as you travel through here, yeah, it's kind of like if you notice the green light right there. That kind of tells you where your drift is at. Like where you should probably turn your camera. Yeah, well, not tell where the next one's at. The red arrow does that, but it tells you probably where you need to turn your camera to maximize, so you can stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see how it says up? So then it says, the green light still says, probably want it. If you turn it right side up, see, it's like, see what I mean?
Orientation.
Yeah. Recommended orientation. Yeah, exactly. It helps with that. I do have flak I can put out in case I get shot.
Anything like this?
Yeah, it's nuts. And this is what it looks like outside the vehicle.
I mean, not at all, but that first person guy. So you remember Forsaken back in the day? And
yes. Those.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of something like that, but not at all.
Yeah.
It's like cross between that and like F-Zero in a way. And
Yeah. The sound effects, by the way, even though I got things turned down so people can hear us talk, are really good. Like, they did a good job on it. And I'm still only position 10. It's not easy. Like, it's hard because you have to orient yourself pretty much almost perfectly and to get where you're going. Apparently there are 10 this is just one of the leagues, and there's 10 other leagues, and you'll go to other places. Like, I think there's one in Mars and one that's near, like, right near the sun, but this is the Earth stuff I've done thus far. So I'm position 7 now. Like I said, if you orient yourself right.
Looking at your stats and stuff over there, or the numbers on the site, like I was kind of mesmerized by watching you play.
Yeah.
I didn't even pay I was like, okay, now what's really going on now? And you're already on lap 3. So.
Yeah, it's the 4 laps.
It's very cool. Very cool.
Well, what's interesting, too, what I like about it is the Earth is actually moving. It is rotating, and the scale is really nice. It's almost got that Elite Dangerous cockpit-like vibe, but this is Total Racing.
Yeah.
This game right now is on sale on the PlayStation Network for $6 and change. So, and now it's also on the Switch, but it does not have the same title. It has the original title, apparently, when it was launched. And then on PS4, for whatever reason, the title's different. But they're the exact same game. Switch does that from time to time. There's a game called Earth's Dawn that I own on PS4, and I also have it on Switch. And it's slightly different than the Switch version. And I'm like 12th position. I'm stinking up the place. This sucks.
I wonder if it has to do with, like, just, like a Japan port
logo,
in a way or something,
Yeah.
like that.
I did not do good at all in this particular map. Another interesting thing about this game is you could miss up to 3 checkpoints before you'd have to turn around and hit it. But if you missed 1 or 2, you don't have to. That's very not that easy. Yeah. So they give you a little bit of leeway, and unfortunately, I got down to the last there, which sucks, and I didn't do real good there. I hit confirm, so that was the winners. Return to careers, you can see here. We'll go to return to career, position, overall time. So let's do that. Return to career. And yeah, but the actual Earth is spinning, and I like that aspect. So if you see here, your next racing event is a different location. I can either accelerate, which is kind of weird, or I can let's see here, go up here to continue. That's kind of weird the way. And you do have the ability to look at different ships here. Like that's what I'm using. This particular ship. Here you can manage your ships, it says. Available power-ups. And there are power-ups. You get money. So that's kind of nice. And the year is 2418, so it is, and you get sponsors. So there is that nice little career mode. I have 28,000, and as you can see, I got impact missile, but I can get boost. Boost costs 60,000. So boost. And so let's see here. Let me go up to see. I only have the one ship so far. I could travel to a new location at Earth. That's the Solar League. There's different leagues. There's Pro and regular, and then Open. I think Open's supposed to be the easy one. I don't know, but let's see here. Let's go down. That accelerates to the next, like whatever the next map is. Or I can just travel to a new location.
It's kind of basic,
now here's neat.
But it's got like it's pretty neat that they do the like the leagues, and it has all that.
Yeah.
Too.
And look, this is a travel to Venus, travel to Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and then whatever those other things are at. It says here's your monthly report. I lost some maintenance, power-up supplies, so that's neat, very realistic for a futuristic racing game. If I can confirm that. And we'll just travel to the new location. Hit travel. So now we're traveling. And as you see, days down here pass and months based on how long it takes you to travel, which is kind of neat. they also have the latest news. The winner tells you the winner in the news. So it's weird to closest event. We're gonna go back, whatever the closest event is. So what more time is passing, latest news, and man, it's just really taking forever to travel there. I'm just hitting because you can hit closest event, and then it takes you there. So here's the Solar League. Opponent skills apparently are easy. Available misses, so I can miss up to 4. I think you can increase that. Like it's, yeah, see, I can increase how many times I can miss, or default. It shows you the rewards for 6th place and on, so.
Just put it all the way up.
Yeah.
To miss,
yeah. I can miss indefinitely, so it doesn't matter. I can just race and get to the end. But, you know, let's not do that for right now. But no, this is a, let's see here. I'm going to start this one. So, okay, here we go. And again, because it is not a track, you know, you're like, well, I got to figure out, like just to figure out where the checkpoints are at. And you're used to playing games. See, now I'm at like Venus or whatever, which is totally different. You know, like completely different. This is neat. I'm flying through the space station essentially, which is cool. I would like to try to win or do something to earn some of that money, because I feel, see, I just drifted way out when I didn't mean to. The best I've done on the game is I did place like 5th. I just got hit by a mine or a missile or something. I think it was a mine. You know, it's hard.
Yeah, I've seen like shoot at a certain point or whatever, so.
Yeah, that's when you get, if you go through 3 checkpoints, then you earn your missile. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and that's basically how that happens. Oh, I missed it. Now I'm going to be way off. I'm like,
interesting though.
It's a different kind of racing game. I've just never quite played anything like it or anything similar to it. You know.
Yeah, I don't think.
See how I'm like, I kind of like zoomed through that by taking that sharp inside the ring to try to get.
Yeah. I tell you one part I like, and it's just such a simple thing, but I like their like jet streams, I guess. Or,
yeah. I like that
cool.
too. Yeah, I like that too. See, I'm like 3rd position. I just kind of redid my strategy as far as staying, like I'm trying to drift right inside the ring so I can, you know, stay in. So, and that's one of the things I read about the game, was you kind of have to learn your orientation, and you're going to have inertia. There is a control for, you can change the controls. I'm on what they call, I should use my flak there, but there is a control mode that says simulation. So the inertia is really realistic. So it's almost like being in real space there. You really don't want to be, you know. So there's the finish. Boom. See? Look at that. I won. I actually got 1st place. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Got a trophy for that. And that's cool, you know, just to be able to play this game and do this and have fun with it. And the fact that I just kind of reoriented myself so I could drift and then go to the next one is kind of nice. It actually allowed me to win a match for once. So that's pretty cool.
The only thing left would have been this cheat.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's a simple kind of racing game, but at the same time, never really played anything like it.
Maintenance break.
Yeah, on Earth it was weird because it actually animated and it went across the globe as you went. But this is like, again, I like playing in the cockpit.
I like league stuff.
Yeah.
Like racing or I don't know, whatever. You know, one of my favorite games of all time, I wish they'd do something else with, is Death Row. It's
Death
not
Row.
racing, but yeah, you remember that one?
I remember that one. Yeah, that was a
So
really
good.
interesting, like, future sport. They don't make a lot of those future sport games anymore, as they're called. So
it was cool because remember we'd play, and like I would just beat up the whole other team and not worry about scoring.
Hey, you remember? Wasn't Riddick playable? Like you could unlock him. Wasn't
Well, I don't think. I mean, it looked like him, but yeah, it had a character that looked like him.
Yeah, I think they just didn't have the. I thought because the guy on the cover of that game looked like Vin Diesel, like looked like him. So
yeah, I still have that my disc version of it.
That's such a good game.
It's not. I wish it was backwards compatible. I don't believe it is.
Yeah, that early stuff. Yeah.
Some of those original ones are, but it's like the ones people know and care about. I guess they worried about making work, but I don't know. There's probably one of 5 people who bought it, but it was so
No,
good.
it was a good game. I actually owned it, and I think it was. But they don't. They just don't. They don't make that. They just some of those old titles like that. They're just. You'd think they would be popular. I just found out that it's coming out either next month or this month or whatever. I'm hitting stuff. Crap, I suck. I was doing good too. I found out that it's coming out. You know how they remastered and put out on the Switch and on PS4 Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Well, the sequel's coming. And it's going to be on all the systems, which is interesting because Dark Alliance 2 originally was only on. Yeah, it was only. It didn't get put on GameCube. I want to say it was only on Xbox original. It could have been PS2, but I know that it was one of those things that I never got to play. I never got to play that one. I actually have. When I got my GameCube, when my fiance got me one, finally, and she got me one unbeknownst to me for Christmas, and I actually found that game online for pretty cheap, and I got it from a guy for like $15. And then, or whatever it was. It might have been 20. But funny thing is, I think I won that. I won that one too. The funny thing is like literally 2 days later they put it out as a remaster. I didn't know it was even coming. I was like, great, it's on Switch. I didn't really have to buy it. It was $29, and I'm still toying with the idea of getting it. If I got it, I'd probably get it on my Switch. And I'll get the sequel in PS4, but I'm just happy because I'm like, I never played the sequel. Never got to. So it's pretty cool.
I still have both of those on the Xbox.
Yeah.
Disc. I think those are backwards compatible, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I like this.
It's hard to keep track of that stuff.
It is.
Has the games sometimes, which ones are playable on new, because that's one of my favorite things about the series is playing some of those old games and stuff, but I never know. I gotta look it up every time, but yeah, I don't know. Back to what I was saying, that I love like league style games, like even like the Blood Bowl and stuff like that. Like
Blood Bowl 2 is stupid good. If you've never played it, I have it, and I've got like the deluxe version because it was really good, and it came with all this stuff. And I also like the Mutant Football League is really good too. They've done a lot with that.
Hold on. So I always get mixed up. With the turn-based one is which one?
Blood Bowl.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
That's based off the Games Workshop tabletop game.
Yeah. And the Mutant League is the kind of the more arcade.
Like it's more like you can actually
Blitz
throw
style.
guys. Yes, and it's funny because the old commentator from Blitz is the commentator for that. The exact same guy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of neat.
Kitzrow, I think, right? Tim
Yeah.
Kitzrow, is that what it is?
Yeah. So, I'm doing pretty good thus far, although
I
they
made
did
that
get
up.
it.
Oh, that's what it is. I mean, he's a midway guy,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
it might be him. But yeah, that's those league style games. Like I know a while back, a year or so ago, they gave out. I don't know if you got it. It was free to play, not free to play, but it's free for PS Plus members. They had they had what was the Laser League, which was actually a pretty cool little game.
Yeah,
I don't know if you ever played it or not, but you make your characters your guys, and you are part of a league, and it's a 3-on-3 kind of thing, and it's actually pretty cool. They did a good job on it.
Yeah, I bet they do some of this stuff now. Actually, I think there's one in the like PS Plus thing. It's like a something Geddon, Arcade Geddon or something like that.
Yeah, Arcade Geddon, yeah. It's a PvP, PvE game. It's both.
Yeah.
I've got it in my library. I didn't download it.
Yeah, I always had them all.
Yeah, me too.
That's about the closest we get, I think, now. You know, that or like Twisted Metal-ish kind of stuff, or I don't know. You know, even like I would like more. You remember they did those
beat that one too.
Like the newer Blitz games where like you could do like performance enhancing stuff.
Yeah. That was Blitz 2 did that. Plus it was interesting because Frank Caliendo, famous impressionist, he was one of the commentators, and he just was Madden. So it was so funny. I was like, that's so funny that he did that for that game. And I had that game, and it's considered a rare title, which is weird because you would find it GameStop. You know, GameStop was still selling it for $30 because they didn't make a lot of copies of that. And so I know there was never a lawsuit or anything, but Madden wasn't real happy about that, his voice being used. But since they didn't use his likeness, he didn't really have a leg to stand on. But he never did like Frank Caliendo's impression of him, even though like it was spot on. You know, and that's and I mean I can do some impressions, but like his Madden was funny because the way they talked about how Madden just stated the obvious, and when he was talking, saying that whole like, you know, well, you need to see, and if you know, if the quarterback can't see, he probably doesn't know where to throw the ball. It's like well, no shit, right? You know, he's all like, well, it looks like the players have got a lot of mud on their jersey because of the rain that's falling on the field. And it'd be like, well, yeah, like, duh. And it was just funny to watch. Anyway, just look up him on YouTube, folks, and it's amazing. So, for some reason or another, on this particular league, I'm, like, killing it. I've came first place 3 times just by slightly adjusting the way I'm playing the game, and now I'm, like, killing it. So, this is kind of good. All of a sudden. Yeah, so it's
some
funny.
Moral support.
Yeah, you know, and this is not for being again another indie game here. It's a pretty good looking game. Like, you know, it's cool. There's Venus, you know, hanging there, and
you know, it's cool because I bet like it's one of the benefits of the setting, right? Because you don't have to generate a lot of objects.
No, you don't. It's just space.
So you just kind of make it more about the gameplay, I guess. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting though. And I've looked at this game, I don't know how many times. Like, I've looked at it so many times. And it's rarely ever been on, like, I've never seen it on sale on the network as far as I know. I've never seen it. So it's strange that now all of a sudden I'm terrible at the game and I'm 10th place, but even though I was doing right.
Reel it in.
Yeah, I need to. But it's funny because I've been looking at this game for so long, and I was like, I just don't want to spend $20, or I don't want to spend. I got hit with something of mine but it put me. I'm still backing. I'm still in the 6th position.
Was this on the sci-fi sale? I guess.
This is on the. I think it's the sci-fi sale. It could have been on the 70% off sale. It's on one of those, but I know that it was really cool because I sat there and I was like, oh, it's finally cheap, and I put it in my actual oh crap, I should have hit. I put it in my cart, and then I bought it, and it's not a very big game. It's a little over 6 gigs, so it's not bad. And I bought it and I played it for a little bit and just was like, this is really cool. It's very different for a racing game. It's also like, you know, you're flying around in space. You're just dealing with checkpoints, no track. I like the fact that, you know, you go to Venus, there's Earth stuff, so you're going to, you know, real places in the solar system. I like the back, you know, and you know me, I love anything. I love all the space shit. I got so many games that are like that. I've got so many indie titles from Morphight and Genesis Alpha 0 or 1 or whatever the hell, and then I've got No Man's Sky and Elite Dangerous, and I love stuff that deals with flying through space and doing stuff, and this is pretty cool. This is a really neat game.
Stuff works.
Yeah, I don't know, and like I guess it's either I guess you got to do well. I don't know. Like I don't know because it's a much more in depth than I think I thought it was. That it appeared to be, sponsors and like earning ships and doing stuff. Here's the finish, and boom, I reeled it in and still got first place. So that's good. But no, I just it's nice, and I'm not sure like how many races are in each like thing here. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so I'm the winner there. So there was like 4 races, and then so return to career. So I should have earned some money. I'm assuming that I did. And let's see here. I guess return. Oh, here we go. So go to ships.
40,000.
Let's see what I got. Yeah, I've got 40 grand. I still don't even have enough to buy anything, sadly. I still need like 20 grand more to get either the boost is like a turbo boost that charges and boosts you up really fast, and I don't know again how you
made the news down there.
I did it say winners people machine? Okay, there you go. Solar League Open has finished. Okay, I like the interesting fact is that time passes, like it shows the month and date, and that's interesting, and I think that's really crazy. Previous news, it's like they...
I wonder what effect it has. Like a couple years ago, like, hey, you gotta retire.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. Here's like events, like it tells you when they take place. And again, I don't know what... It says the 25 to 24/18. I don't know what 25 is, or, you'd think they would just have the 12-month calendar, but unless it means... I think it's reversed. It's February 25th, 24/18. They just reversed the 25 and 2. This is a very European game in my opinion. So there's the Juno Racing Club track. It says Jupiter. And it shows you the rewards there. And then you got this open calendar, which is nuts. Like it's got the entire calendar, and I guess I can select, like if I go up to 25, it shows what's going on every month. So that's kind of neat. Like I said, it's very, for being a, what I would say for being a, I don't know, like, for being a game that's a futuristic game, and being what this is, it's interesting that they bothered to put little things. A count. You can see the calendar.
It's a very basic game, but then it's got depth to it too.
Yeah, it's got a lot of depth to it. It's got the because I was able to choose the color of my ship, and the fact that there's some kind of sponsorship, there's some kind of they actually bothered to give everybody names. It's it's AI. It's like their numbers. In fact, you got news. Like news is usually what's going on. But I also find it interesting that you have. What available competitions, a calendar to look at to see what's going on. So, I mean, again, for being a simplistic racing game, per se, but to have all that, like you said, that's very interesting. So they took something that's sci-fi, but then put real-world stuff in it, Like you would see in an actual sports title or a racing game or whatever. And I think that's really nice. That's a nice touch. You know what I mean? I think that's really cool.
It's cool, yeah. It's what it kind of gives it purpose, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just going through these loops and then until you're bored of it. But
yeah,
this kind of gives you some goals. Like I guess it depends on what happens after a while.
Yeah, I'm not sure
on the progression, but.
Because I'm assuming that there's a bunch of other stuff. It's interesting that it's got maintenance and power supply and stuff like that. So like you'll spend a little bit of money And it makes sense because, again, that's like, this is a futuristic, obviously fictitious, fictional game, but to add things that make sense. Hey, you have maintenance stuff because you're racing, and so they put that realism in it too, which is bizarre. It's so neat to see. That's so crazy. As you see here, the Earth there is rotating. It does do that, and I love that. They're not planets. They're just stationary. So I did the closest event. I'm traveling there, I guess. Let's see here, and just closest event. See what's next, and you see these available competitions. So I can go over here. This is amateur events because I guess you can turn pro or whatever, and that says 4th for 14, so 321. So I can join it, which is kind of neat. There's an entry fee. So again, there's this weird realism to the game, and I'm really impressed. I'm impressed with that. I'm impressed that they bothered to put.
You could win 30,000 if you do. If you get
exactly. So there's that weird added realism. I didn't want to spend too much time on this game because there isn't too terribly much to show. But man, for paying $6 and some change for this game, and I think it normally retails for, I think it's 20. And again, it's like unexpected. Like here I'm playing this game and I'm seeing all this depth to this game that doesn't have, it seems bare bones, but it's not. The smoke effect right there, by the way, is really nice.
That's cool, yeah.
It looks like real smoke. They might even use like real smoke and superimposed. But no, it's neat, and I like that. And I don't know how much customization you can have with your racing Orbital thing. I know there's different vehicles, because in the single race you can pick different things. There's again, you see how the Earth there's got just the lighting over the continents. That's one of the races I did was that, and that was so cool. That was really neat, and I enjoyed that a lot. And it is weird that they have a local multiplayer, but they don't have like actual multiplayer. It seems strange. Also, in your controls in the video, you can change your things on your HUD. You can change the color of your HUD, the saturation, so you're allowed, if you don't like what they have, and if you want a different kind. So that's kind of nice. So it's nice to give you a little bit of that. Control-wise, again, interesting, very simple. It says R1 or L1 is to hold and float. So I don't know exactly, you got your movement and your yaw and pitch, and you got your roll. And I guess if you wanted to do that yaw and pitch, which would feel more like you're playing like something more realistic, and again, it's the weirdest thing to see something with bare bones. And you can see here the people who made it, there's virtually hardly anybody there. It was ported by Console Labs, but it's designed and created by one guy, this Powell Dewelski, and that's it.
Yeah.
There were some QA testers, some people who produced it, which just probably add money and stuff. There's some music that they did, and some third-party assets, obviously, like Unity. It's all Unity-based, but it's interesting that one guy did this. Again, I like the whole indie, and this is neat too. So, and in my profile, it shows you my total flight time, how many events I've won. That's so weird to that they actually bothered to do that. And so there's all this little stuff that I think makes for an interesting title. So, but yeah, so tonight we got to see a little bit of this Normandy game that, was doing pretty good and chugging right along, and then it just chugged itself into fucking oblivion. So, I might get back into that and try to play that a little bit more. But this Orbital Racer, for the money, for paying $6 and something, I think it's worth a buy totally, and I recommend it. Normandy, I don't know if I'd say it's normally everyday prices, $14.99 on the PSN store and Xbox store. Do I recommend it? I would say wait for it to go a little cheaper. you know, and if you want to deep dive into that, maybe a couple updates may come out for it. I hope it does. But for 15, I didn't expect a whole lot, and if I play it some more, now, you know, and everything comes together, I might be able to get past the mission, unlock better weapons to start and stuff. Do I recommend it wholeheartedly? Is there other shooters that are cheaper out there that give you a little bit better with time? Yes. I would say wait for, and even though it's already cheap, wait for it to be like $4.99 or $6.99. Then I think it'd be worth better of a buy. Orbital Racer right now, I think, even if it wasn't on sale, would be worth its full price. And it's really good. So I like it. You got to see some of it. What do you think, John? What do you think of these? What do you think about Normandy, and what do you think about this Orbital Racer?
Normandy, I mean, truthfully, it probably, I don't really have much interest in. Like,
Yeah.
as far, I mean, you know, watching it and participating is entertaining.
Yeah.
But, like, for me, as a game, like, I wouldn't buy it or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was very, you know, it reminded me of some of the Medal of Honor, like, that's what it was kind of going for that time. And I know that's like generic speed just because of the time period and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's not really trying to be that, but it's what it, you know, setting wise. But the execution could be a whole lot better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't really know what's up with the enemy spawning stuff. Like, I don't know, I just wish it would kind of tell you more of what you need to know across the board, right? Like what the settings mean, like why do you have 500 dudes after you?
Yeah, I know. And then
So I don't know. It's definitely unpolished, and then of course it's a crash marathon.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Orbital Racer though, very impressive for what it is. I hadn't seen it, and I hadn't seen anything like it, and it looked like it was like really smooth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like
didn't crash.
I like what it did. I like the leak stuff in it, like I talk about. It is weird it doesn't have like an online multiplayer, but you know, if it's made by one guy, maybe that's just a limitation there, right?
Yeah.
Getting net code and stuff is, I'm sure, can be tricky. All of it can be tricky, but who knows? Is this something that's supported, or?
I don't think so, because I think it's been out for a while. It may have had an update or two, but the thing is with this game, it's one of those games that says check for update, but it doesn't have like the information about the, you know how some games you could check for update and it tells you what's going on with the update, where it says, you know, version whatever. This only has check for update. It'll just say latest whatever software is up to date. But
either way though, I mean,
it's been out for a while.
What here seems pretty solid. So
yeah, I mean, I saw it a year ago on the Switch, and again, for some reason, it has a different name, a completely different name. And then on PSN, I saw it as Orbital Racer a couple months later. This was a year ago. It could have been old. It could possibly be older than that. You know, so I'm not, you know, going. I don't know if the credits don't really show you like a year or whatever. Yeah. So, but I feel like that. Like I said,
for that price point though, it's definitely something I would. I would look at getting.
Yeah, for $6, there is local multiplayer. So you can like play with somebody split screen or whatever, which is nice. You know, it's old school, but that's very nice. But I tell you, like I said, for what this is doing and what it's setting out to do and accomplish, Orbital Racer definitely hits it. You know, and I always have liked the futuristic racers. I've got a bunch of them. I've got the Wipeout collection. I've got Grip. I've got Xenon Racer. I paid $2.99 for that, or $3.99 for like the deluxe. Is crazy. Like, and that was like right before everything. The game's story is like right before everything went to like hover vehicles. And I've got Red Out. I don't have the sequel to Red Out, which looks really good. But I have the first one, Red Out Faster Than Ever, whatever it's called. And I have, you know, Pod Racer, and I anytime I see like a futuristic racer, I usually gravitate towards it. I love the high speed, the crazy tracks. But this one was one that I was on the fence on, because a year ago when I looked into it on YouTube, somebody had put up not so much a review but gameplay, but they were commentating saying like, "Oh, the game's incredibly hard. You know, they put these realistic weird physics in it, so it's really hard to like hit the checkpoints and all this other stuff. But when I'm playing this, it literally defaults to like arcade kind of like style, so it's like, oh, it's not that hard at all to control." I guess it was one of those things like, do I want to play a racing game? There's no track, you just fly through checkpoints. And I always kind of wanted to play it and get it, but it was just never on sale. It's been on sale on the Switch like several times, but it's another one of those. I had just gotten my Switch and I had different games that I was already playing, and I just never got around to getting it. And then when I finally saw it on the PSN, which I knew it was on sale, I bought it today. And I thought, because it was cheap for $6 and change. But I'm with you. Like,
it looks like, I don't know about the port, but on Steam it was December 2017.
Okay, so it's been out for a while. So 21, 22, so like 5 years. But I definitely recommend it for the price point. I think if you're looking for a different kind of racing game, and unless you just don't like futuristic racers and you just like the more modern stuff like your Need for Speeds and stuff, then definitely avoid this. But if you're into like the alternative like racing titles like this, it's always like modern or future. It's like, this is really good, and again, it's one of those. It's just different. You're not worrying about a track.
That's
you're not
the appealing part, because it really goes back to what we started talking about with the indie games initially. It's just something different, because like racing game. I do like racing games, but I don't know. We're so far evolved in what games are like, right? So there's a lot of games now where you're driving around and you're racing a car, but then like you can get out and explore the world on foot.
Yes.
So like when you just have a regular just driving only racing game, like it's got to be good, or it's got to be something different. And we have like kind of top tier things like Forza, which in my opinion is the king of racing games.
Yeah, Forza is pretty much like tops for sure.
And then, like futuristic wise, I don't know. I mean, F-Zero was the king forever, but there hasn't been one of those in quite a while.
It's been a long time. The closest you're going to get to that is a game on Switch called RMX Racing, and the people who made that were really big fans of F-Zero, but they didn't want to let's just carbon copy it. RMX Racing is it's very difficult. It's hard, because it's challenging. It's not like so hard that you're like, I gotta throw my controller, but it's like it's difficult because it's a precision game. So you're like, I gotta play this and do good. And if you've played the Redout series, it's similar, and that's the closest you're gonna get. My benchmarks was F-Zero and Extreme G. I love Extreme G series.
Yeah.
Especially the third one. The third one was great, and XGRA was great, which made it more like a league thing. And the first one was really good, and the second one was pretty decent on the 64, but it had a lot of like frame rate issues and stuff. And that one lets you like break the sound barrier, and that became like its thing. You broke the sound barrier, and which was different. And of course, Wipeout. And I had Wipeout 64, but like Wipeout's been around forever since the original PlayStation, and it came in. The original Wipeout was in a big box,
and they're still making some of those.
Yeah, well, the Wipeout collection was given away for free recently, a few months ago, and it gives you basically the last 3 Wipeout games ever made, and it's really good on here. And Grip is basically the sequel to Roll Cage, and like I have a lot of those featured, and I always loved Pod Racer, and that was really good on the 64. And this is the remaster from the PC version, and I actually have the sequel because they did that whole PS2 and PS4 early on. That was one of the games, was Pod Racer Revenge. I have that as well. So, and I've always gravitated towards that.
They released a lot of that stuff. On PS4, thankfully.
Because the racing game,
But, so you got your racing, and then you got your future racing, and then you got like like Mario Kart and stuff.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there's really not a lot of variety though with racing. So when you see something like this, that especially you're using like that like 360 axis kind of movement,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's neat.
Yeah, and even though like their checkpoints, they don't move. So if you could put a track through that checkpoint system, it would be a track. So, but you have 360-degree movement, and I can move the camera where I need to. And the funny thing is, the camera on the left stick, on the right stick, it's not where I can look everywhere. It's literally like if I hit left once, it turns it left and right, but it's done in such a smooth transitional way. So again, playing it now and playing it when it first downloaded earlier today, I was like, this is so different and unique. And then seeing all the different weird calendar and events and this, and I'm like, wow, it's like they put this weird realism in a game that's completely not real, so it just shows you that the guy that made it was like, he combined the elements of like the sci-fi racer, the futuristic racer with space, but then you could tell he was probably likes the real world aspects of racing and this traditional racing game with the league stuff and sponsors, and so you're like, that's really cool. So to mirror that was good. So I'll give props to the guy. I guess the game being 5 years ago, 5 years ago there was nothing like this in the racing genre, and right now there's nothing nothing like this at all. So I give credit where credit's due. As far as going back to Normandy, I do not have buyer's remorse, but a couple patches could probably do some wonders in the game. I don't know if that will come to pass. And I wish the game would have been like $10 or maybe even $8. I would have felt a little bit better about the purchase, but I bought it mainly for curiosity's sake. I said, you know what? I got some money to burn. I can buy a couple games. I bought this and that one. I said, and the only reason I bought the Normandy is because I was like, I played a lot of roguelikes, and they're always like either a 2D, 3D kind of thing, or they're a three-quarters, like a Diablo style overhead kind of cam. They're always certain things about them, or they're almost never, and I don't think I've ever really played one that's a first person, that's a weird setting, a World War II setting, like it. Something about it just made me, and in this big giant map, and it's just something about it that made me say, I just kind of wanted to play it, and I almost didn't buy it. I was real close to saying, fuck it, I'm not buying this game, but I ultimately bought it because it, again, like we talked about earlier, like you said, indie games are like a, crapshoot. You roll the dice. You're either going to get some stuff that's like amazing, like the Dungeons Sundari I've been like raving about, or you're going to get something that's kind of like meh, but it's still passable. I feel like Normandy,
there's a couple things about that though, right? Like, you figure what you paid for that, and what you paid for this, and what you paid for Dungeons, like. That's price point of like a AAA game, right? So like this way, you got this cool, interesting game. You got Dungeons, which you really liking, and then Normandy. At least first impressions aren't so great, but like you still got two good games out of it, though.
Yes.
For what normally would be one game, and too, like I know you anyway. You'll keep playing that Normandy game.
I will, just because.
So then, like a week would go by, and you'll be like, "Hey, I got this figured out now. It's really not that bad."
Yeah,
then, maybe they'll patch the crashes and stuff, which would be cool.
I want to say,
feel like you might like if you keep at it, you might kind of get it figured out more a little bit too.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's one of the things that you had told me a long time ago that I never forgot. And it's just, this is one of the reasons that I actually do appreciate you as a gamer like me. And I know we have different tastes. I know I have a billion games. You have a lot of games. We like a lot of the same games too, but we like a lot of differences, and we have different takes on the genres of the different stuff that we play. I mean, you always said, you know, I could be playing this game. I know it's cool, but I'll play COD or Battlefield because I want, my time is limited, so I want to play like something really good, right?
Yeah.
And that always stuck with me, right? You know, I mean, you playing ESO, for example, it's like you could be playing XYZ roleplay game, but you're going to play what you feel is the best bang for your buck, the most time best for your buck. I completely agree with you on that, 100%. But I know, but my take is also, when I think about games I'm playing, I'm like, I've always been able to kind of find the good in almost every game, and look, and it helps me look past the bad, because I hate those people that are like, I can't play this game because the graphics ain't, everything else is fantastic, but the graphics are terrible, or the graphics are not where they need to be. Or to me, it's like, I've always been able to say to myself, why have I been able to look past that? How am I able to play a game and go, I find the good points and not try to focus so much on the bad points? I mean, it has to be really fucking bad for me to be like, God, like I can't do this. And it's like, perfect example, 2-3 years ago, like someone said, I can't believe you like that Metal Gear Survive game. Why do you fucking like that game's terrible? It fucking shits on Metal Gear. I'm like, okay, so the Metal Gear Solid engine and how that game plays, like Phantom Pain, which is an amazing game. If you've never played Phantom Pain, you got to play it. It's fantastic. It uses the same engine. It plays the same way. The difference is, when I tell people, well, why do you like it? I like it because it has the base building. It has the light survival mechanics where I'm not like completely like getting shit on. As you progress by the third or fourth mission, you're like, okay, well, I can like boil water now. Now I have infinite water. And then I get this catch basin. Now I have infinite water. I don't ever have to worry about going thirsty. Oh, now I got a farm. Okay, I never have to worry about, I've got my base built up. There's this exploration aspect. You go into the dust and you go in these buildings and it kind of feels like Silent Hill, and it does. Like they took, because it's a Konami game, they did take aspects from their other games, and there's something about that game, and then they just all these concepts that deal with like Dante's Inferno and Dite, and like it's not, even though Kojima had really nothing to do with it, that game, even though yes, it was a financial kind of flop, and yes, for some reason they kind of like geared it towards multiplayer when it had this crazy single player thing. It's a what if scenario if this is what really happened at the end of Phantom Pain, when it's a total Twilight Zone episode of that. And so for me, I could look past, I didn't give a shit about Hideo Kojima. I'm not part of that, and I didn't care about that. You play the game, it's zombie stuff, but it's a little different, and there's just something about there's a creepiness to it, even though it's daytime, and you see this big dust wall in the distance, and when you go inside, you look up, it looks like you're underwater, but you're not, and it's like something about its in atmosphere and environment combined with the Phantom Pain's gameplay. It's like, I don't know, I played it, fell in love with it, and looked past a lot of the stuff. And there was a guy on YouTube that took all the reviewers to task, and he would take a complaint from a reviewer saying, oh, well, you go into the dust and you can't, you get lost and there's no way to do this or no way to do that. And he's like, yeah, but then no one ever, like he says, he put on there, he shows on one sentence, obviously you didn't know about the waypoint flag system, and it shows him, boom, whoosh, here's a flag, boom, whoosh, putting it down. So you basically mark your own path. But none of the reviewers said that. It's like they didn't even really, and he kind of was trying to basically say, I don't think people really played the game. And so I could look past
Well, and
problems that
there's
game has, and
there's a
I've
problem
always
with the
been able to do
review
that.
system
Yeah.
anyway, and and it's a very common practice because it's that whole like machine of this game's out, so like you either you get a review code and you feel pressured to do it, or it's a new game and you want to get it out and get the views before anybody else gets it. So like
Yeah.
you got to be ready day one. So you're
Yeah.
rushing through your impressions and not really giving it a fair shot and taking your time
Yeah.
with it. Really, So that's the problem with the whole review system, really. And I don't know. I still somewhat agree with what I said, but my response to that, what you were talking about when I said, when I said that, it was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
First time.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I remember it.
Yeah, because I know exactly when I said it, and it was when you were playing Two Worlds and I was playing
Oblivion.
Elder Scrolls
Yeah.
Oblivion, yeah. And it was like, I mean, Two Worlds did some cool stuff, but I was like, but Oblivion's so good,
Yeah.
and like I just didn't have the time to dedicate to both, so it's like, but later on, I did look more at Two Worlds, and I was like, it does do some really, really neat stuff, though.
Yeah.
And
I still love that game.
so like, fast forward like 20
it.
years later, and a part of me still feels that way, right? Like,
Yeah.
when I talk about, because we was talking about your Dungeons game over there, Sandaria, and it's like I gotta justify a place at least. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
I know it's not trying to be Elder Scrolls, right?
Yeah.
But like Elder Scrolls does so much, including like dungeon kind of stuff.
Yeah, it does
but
everything.
It's also not like, it's not the same, because I know Sandaria is like after the kind of the old school just dungeon running, and it's very
Loot
that's what it
and,
is, and the super long dungeons, and it's almost more like pen and paper, like campaign style dungeon link kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand the difference. So like I can justify that place. It's just it is the time game. But
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is like 20 years later, I'm also sick of half the shit that's out there that's mainstream too. So it's like,
I feel
okay, technically, Call of Duty's a better shooter than some of the other stuff. But I'm kind of sick of that. So let's see what we're doing on the indie level. And I am kind of more in the place of playing just weird budget title-ish, or like just, that kind of stuff than what I'd used to. But I don't know. Some things I feel like there's certain kind of games that are just my favorites that like hold the crown and always will be.
Yeah.
Like Good Luck. Like, I mean, I like RPGs and stuff, but especially when I'm actively playing ESO, it's like I just don't have time for other RPGs. Like, I want to be playing Elder Scrolls, so like that's what I would play.
Yeah.
And like Mortal Kombat is my favorite like fighting game. I feel like I really like Street Fighter. So like a lot of just one-off fighting games. It's like, I don't know. I mean, they're cool, but it really would take a lot for me to kind of get into anything other than Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Street Fighter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Shooters, it's kind of, there's so many. I don't really have any that I would hold to that, because that's easier to jump in and out of.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think for me, I devote different time to different games, and I got a lot of games, and there are certain games that I find myself gravitating towards. It's like, if Dynasty Warriors comes out, I'm all over it. Like, forget it. Yeah. Like, the game is amazing. Dynasty Warriors Empires 9 came out. It's not perfect, but it's like, hey, I make my own character. It uses the Neo 2 character creator, which that's so good. And the combat's so good in it, and just everything that the game does, and there's updates to things, and again, Dynasty Warriors 9, open world, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I love those games, I turn around, like today I was playing Earth Defense Force World Brothers, and I played that for a while, and then I went and played EDF 5, and I was like, I forgot how good I had to start over, which sucks. But me and you had so much fun with that game. I kept thinking, and that game has been around 20 years. It's like that's a weird series that has this loyal fan base, and like for all intents and purposes, if you look at the graph, you look at everything, anybody else would be like, well, that's shit. Like, but you've never played it. And the game is with the weapons and the over-the-topness. Yeah, I mean,
my intro to that is Attack of the Show.
Yeah.
On Tech TV. They were playing it, and there was like, because I remember seeing it, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that game.
Probably was not the first one, but it was probably 2015, the one that was on.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, it was that.
Because I was playing it.
Just the rocket launcher. Yeah, and I was like, man, that's like something Tom would play, and I don't care about it. And they played it, and they were showing it, and they're like, look, it's awesome. Like, you have a rocket launcher, and it's infinite ammo, and you just
blow the shit, buildings collapse.
And I'm watching it, and I was like, huh. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get it and try it out. I don't know. And, I bought every single Earth Defense Force game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I find it funny because there for like several nights there a couple years ago, we played EDF 5 to like ad nauseum. Like we played like 15, 20 missions a night, and we're like, God damn, this game doesn't end. And you're fighting like the giant, like everything's like massive, and you would find some new creature, and you'd be like, how the fuck do we defeat this? And you can't take the game seriously. Especially when you're like, oh, you're the valiant, and they're singing, and it was just so funny. Yeah. And then we were laughing because you were playing the wing diver and doing the EDF yell, and it's the one that's like EDF. It's like really long, and you're like, what the fuck? And it was so funny, and yet you're playing it, and like there was the one board where we're fighting like the walking like mothership, and it's like this thing we're fighting a building. It's ridiculous, and then there's so much fucking shit they're throwing at you. There's red dots everywhere, and you're just like, this is the most ridiculous, insane thing. And
like
there's
the big giant frogs.
And the funny thing is, they're throwing thousands of shit at you at one time, and you're playing on normal difficulty. It's like a fuck playing on hard, and you're like. You're just slowly building your armor up, and you get crazy and crazier and crazier weapons, and then you're sitting there playing. We played that game, and I tell you what, anybody else who's never played that game would look at that and say, "What? 2 weapons? What? Fuck that! What? Fuck that game!" Right? But it's one of the most fun games ever, like ever. It's there's no learning. Yeah,
it's one of the best examples of like what video games should be, right? Like, and that's what often gets lost is like you got the big budget cinematic experiences, which are great. They're totally great.
Yeah.
But it, some of the time though it gets caught up in just the graphics and the presentation, or even just focusing on like the tightness of the gameplay, or this mechanic, or this gimmick, or whatever. And like, I don't know, like when you just get a game that's just really fun, it's like, okay, like I don't know, forget the stress and like the mental pressure you put on games as experiences sometimes, and just like find something that's just fun. Like me and Jacqueline, we played through that Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah,
and it's just killer. Like it's such just that's as simple as you can get. Just that arcade beat 'em up, but it's totally great. Fan service game, super fun, and like you're just going through beating up foot soldiers, and it's fun, and EDF is that way.
Yeah, EDF is great. When we were playing through it, one of the things that you get 2 weapons, and you think, I can carry 2. But there's like, a fucking, 10,000 different weapons in the game. And it's so interesting how you could go in with one loadout, and it just changes the game. Like how you have to do things, or you could stick with something, and you don't know how it's going to be until you try it. And it's kind of like, Earth Defense Force,
weapons,
yeah,
man.
and Earth Defense Force is simplistic in so many ways, and yet as a shooter, as a third-person shooter, and you're not taking cover. You know, you're running around, you're dodging left and right, you're fighting anything from insects, spiders, giant robots, walking things, shit, flying shit. It's like they throw so much at you. And then you got to worry about splash damage if stuff's close, if you're using some kind of explosive. And you look at the different classes, you're like, I got a tank, I got this, I got that. And you as simple as that shooter is, there's a level of like, almost tactical level of like, what am I going into this next mission with? Because you don't know what you're going to face. They show you a little screen. Am I dealing with the ants? Am I dealing with a You literally go into it not knowing what you're going to be dealing with, because they'll just randomly in the middle of the mission, oh shit, they're coming in, and something else. You're like, fuck, you know, like, so you wonder if you have the right tools. And so EDF is so good for keeping you on your toes that you can replay the same mission 2 or 3 times with different weapons and it feels different. And like you said, EDF, the Ninja Turtle game, sometimes it's almost good to just kick back with something simple and something fun to play. And I know when I was at the O department playing EDF with you, we played every night for like 2 weeks straight. That was some of the funnest time I had.
Armageddon, right?
No, we were playing the new one. We were playing EDF 5. We had played a lot of Insect Armageddon, but we were playing EDF, the new one, but it's all like, you know, because you were making jokes like, because you were going like, we are the Valiant, and you would keep repeating the same, we are the Valiant, we are the Valiant, and it was just so funny. And I have all of them, except for the PS2 ones, but I have 2015, I have Insect Armageddon on 360, I have 5 Iron Rain, which Iron Rain takes a more serious tone, but it's still like a great game. I love Iron Rain. I have World Brothers, and I don't think a lot of people were going to get into that, but World Brothers, to be honest with you,
not get that one.
It's fantastic. It's EDF, and it's pixelated. It's got that Minecraft look, but it's got all the classes from all the games, even the ones that came out on the PS2 years ago that was like 3/4 overhead, and it's got all these, you rescue people, and you could, a vampire, a fucking El Marachi, a fucking like people from all around the world, and their central theme, and you think it'd be silly, but no, it works, and you could switch between any of the 4 characters at any time, and it's still got like, you still get crazy weapons, and it's got the armor stuff where you get the armor boxes, and it's everything you could think of, and that's in EDF, but done this way. And it's got every major boss. It's got like the big round mothership, and then the one from this and the one from that, and it's got every enemy type from the entire series is in the game. The entire series from PS2, the very first one, all the way up until Iron Rain, and we are getting an EDF 6 this year.
Yeah, it comes out in Japan, like,
yeah.
Is it out in Japan now?
It might be. I think it might be, or it's coming out real soon. But, you know, this is the thing, like, I appreciate when you were saying, you know, 20 years ago, which is a long time, but 20 years ago, you said about your time and that, and I totally get that, totally. And when you talk about the Two Worlds thing and Oblivion thing, I never ever want to say that one game was better than the other. One clearly had a bigger budget. One clearly had a little bit more going for it because Bethesda's been around for a long time. I think they make good games, but I think they've lost some of the plot. But Two Worlds, to me, as janky as it was, the thing that I liked about it was the game map was just stupidly big. And I love the fact that you could take an armor set and buy the same armor set and then combine it to make that stronger, weapon stronger. I liked the little stuff. It had terrible voice acting. It had terrible fucking things about it. Now, the second one was a lot better, which I think I sold to you, and which was good. But the first one, there's a lot of stuff I liked about it. And they did this super patch on it, like
I
it was
forgot they did a second one.
yeah. The two, remember the one where he walks around, and he says like smells good. Yeah, yeah. But like the first one did this weird mega patch, and it was like this crazy like 15 gig patch, and it fixed everything that was wrong with it. And one of the things that I love Oblivion, I do, but I also, like I said, I've always had the ability to see, I guess, the good in every game and what they're trying to accomplish and look past things, because I've always been more focused on, is the gameplay good? Is the gameplay, graphics, yes, are great, but they don't be all end all for me. I like interesting gameplay. And yes, when you go across the genre, like you said, what you told me all those years ago, it still holds true with me. I completely agree with you. I also know, for me, like you said, when you talk about, yeah, this looks like something Thomas would play, but I take that as a compliment, because
I don't mean in a bad way.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
just,
know, but I do, because
know.
I will try anything. I will buy anything and try anything if it looks interesting to me. I don't really care so much. But now I have gotten my hands on some games I was like, yeah, kind of rough. But the funny thing is I remember. But there have been times where I have shown you something, or hey, try this out, man, and you've given it a chance and end up really liking it, and it's nice. And you have said the same thing to me. Hey, man, you might want to try this ESO. I bought ESO on the strength of your word to me. And I bought it, because it just so happened at the time it was on sale. It was like $10. And I was like, well, I'll buy it. It's $10. It's like, John's telling me all this stuff about it. I didn't think I would like it, because I was like, I like, Elder Scrolls has always been kind of single player. I don't know if I would like it. John's telling me it's good. I'll buy it based on his strength alone. I trust his judgment. I bought it. End up really liking it. I was like, this is really cool. This is a really neat MMO. And it still kind of feels, even if you play by yourself, it still has a single player almost aspect to it. They didn't make it like, oh, you have to play with people, except for maybe some of the raids, but nevertheless,
for the most part, other than a few of the things, like it's the most single player, most single player MMO out there.
Yeah.
When I've been sitting there doing it now, sometimes I'll play with Nick and stuff, but for the most part, I'm just like doing quests. Myself.
Yeah. You're just kind of doing. Yeah, I think, like I said, I find it interesting that so much of games that you like, I own and really like. And I know there has been some times where in the past, in our very, very long past, like me and you, like absolutely love the shit out of Gauntlet, and even though you look at that game and it's like, I'd say a rudimentary action RPG, because there's leveling and there's stuff, but I know when Seven Sorrows came out, I brought it over and we went through the entire game. Like in one that we sat there, like 7 hours later we beat it. But it was funny because that's another one of those games that's like, I came over to your house and it was like 2 different TVs. I had GameCube, Xbox, and we just sat there and hung out and played it. And I'm glad to hear that there's this indie game team that's remaking it, like remaking the whole game. I'm like, please put that out. I'll buy it. I don't care what it costs. But another one of those things is your view on video games. I respect and have always, like, you told me about Battlefield. You told me about those AAA titles that I didn't normally always get to, right? I bought Modern Warfare 3. A lot of people don't know this, like Troy and everybody's talking about it, but you were like, you probably, if you want to get in it, man, this is a new one, try it. And a lot of my purchases have been based on your recommendation. I know I play a lot of stuff, and I might, hey, John, you should check this out, play this, and we always are, hey, check this out, hey, check this out. And we do that a lot. But
And I do too. I'll look into it, and sometimes it's really, well, of course, sometimes my mind gets changed. But sometimes I'll look at something and like first impression, it's like, okay, this ain't gonna be my style.
yeah,
But sometimes I do give it like, I got a Dynasty Warriors just because you like it so much, and I was like, well, I'll give it a go and see. And I was like, okay, yeah, again, it's not for me. But
yeah,
I gave it a whirl. But sometimes it really hits though,
yeah.
like Deus Ex. Like you played that before I did, and
I
I
fucking
got
love
it, and
Deus Ex. Yeah,
it's an awesome game.
yeah.
Awesome franchise, and
Hmm.
I don't know. There's a handful of those, like the Judgment. I got kind of based on the Yakuza stuff, and
Oh, Yakuza is great.
and it's
Fantastic.
great, and I don't know. I try weird shit too. Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I think we know each other well enough, and like the reasons we like stuff too,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah. Totally.
because I do typically try all the kind of the big budget blockbuster games anyway, because like it's impressive, and
Hmm.
I don't know. I just want to see, like, I don't know. You got like when you have PS5 and Series X and 4K TVs. Like, I don't know. You want to like see what it can do, right? Like
Yes.
impress me.
Yeah. Just show me what you
Show me
got.
what you
Yeah.
got. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but then it's like, okay, well that's over now. That
Yeah.
was shallow. What else
Yeah.
can I find? And sometimes they're great games. Sometimes not. Like you finally got the God of War, right?
Yes. I had bought it before they gave it away for free, and I got God of War 3 for free, but I also got the one that the new one where he's in the Norse mythology, and I got that on sale, and I was playing through it, and I think in the first 15 minutes, where you do the first time, you don't know who he is, but it's Balder, but you fight him,
Yeah.
and once that fight was done, and it's not the end of the fight, it's like the end of just that part. I set the controller down and I said to myself, I was like, that by far is one of the most epic things I've ever done in a game. It felt like so insane, like the power and everything, and you felt the punches. I said, and even though it's interesting to see God of War go to that like over the shoulder camera, it's perfect. And I absolutely told myself, I'm like, I didn't have the PlayStation 2 or 3 or whatever. I never played the first, second one. I have the third one because they put it on PS4. I never played the fourth one, which has like some multiplayer. I was like, but that one, was incredible. That's an
And it's
incredible
different
game.
anyway. It's a relaunch, really.
Yeah. It's an incredible game.
And I remember it came out, and I was talking it up to you, and you're like, yeah, I'll get to it. And then it was like a while later, I remember you saying you got it.
Oh, it was
and I like,
fantastic.
okay, finally, geez, because that's awesome.
It was so good, and it's again one of those things that you were talking about earlier about how sometimes with the AAA stuff now you're like, meh, when people talk about playing it safe, like Ubisoft with Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, right? Or Activision with Call of Duty, or DICE with Battlefield, or whatever. Regardless of some of the changes, it's not that they just play it safe. It's the fact that you, as a gamer, as a consumer, as somebody that goes in to purchase the game digitally or otherwise, you're going like, you know what? I like some of the aspects of that, or I like this about it, and I always have. I play all of them. So it's like, I know what I'm getting into, so it's a safe bet if I spend $60 or whatever. I know what I'm getting into. So you're not buying it and feeling, but you're like, it's just, it's more of what I've been doing. So it's a safe purchase for the player. You know that you're not going to have buyer's remorse, even if it's basically more or less the same shit. It's because you know what the expectation is. It's Assassin's Creed. Yeah, it's going to be this and that. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
it's this,
really know, though, is like, is it going to feel tired or not?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's times when it does, and there's times when it doesn't. And there's some of those AAA games like that. it's hyped up all to hell, and I get it,
Yeah.
and like it's the greatest thing I've ever played. Still, like that God of War was one. I got it. I guess I got it launch day or
Oh,
something, right around there,
I wish I
and
had.
it's
I didn't.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have a PS3. I was Team Xbox then until PS4. So I
Yeah.
missed out on like the initial Naughty Dog kind of wave of Uncharted and things
Yeah.
like that.
Because
But like I
Uncharted
got the
is amazing.
remastered, I got the Last of Us remastered when they did that and played through those, and like those games are phenomenal.
Yeah,
Like
they're
that,
great.
just
Yeah.
I played through back to back all the Uncharted games,
Yeah, they gave away
including
the
the middle
trilogy
ones.
for free.
Yeah,
That's how I got them. But I had played them weirdly enough because Desiree's my fiance Desiree, her sister has a PS3 and had them, and she left this God dude. This is when I lived at the old apartment 3 years ago. She used to come over and play games. We'd all hook up our systems, and she left her PS3 there with those games. And I said one day, this before Desiree moved in, so I was like, I'm going to sit down and play this because I don't own a PS3, so I never knew anything about Uncharted. She had them. I started playing them, and I was like, "Wow, this is great." So
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it's totally good, and it really shouldn't be. I don't know, like it's like shit I've played before, like especially when they relaunched the Tomb Raider games and like it's
yes.
that style of game. It's kind of like you wouldn't really expect it to be so good,
No, and,
but it
it's
is.
funny you mentioned Tomb Raider because recently they gave away not well they did already give away the reboot Tomb Raider, right? But they
Yeah,
did the second one. What is it? Shadow of the Moon,
Rise.
whatever it was. It was something with
Shadow
the
was the
moon.
third one.
Yeah,
Rise of the Tomb Raider is the
yeah.
second one.
They gave away one of them for free, and so I downloaded it and I started playing through it. And I was like, "This is incredible. This is really good." Like I was really
Yeah,
impressed. And normally I would be like, "Meh," you know what I mean? And I loved it. I absolutely
those
loved
games are
it.
great too.
Yeah, they're good. They're really good, and they're
Yeah,
big budget. It's strange though too because me and it's interesting how now we're looking at more indie centric titles. We're looking at things that are not the biggest budget, but and because like a lot of new stuff has become stale. A lot of stuff
yeah,
like I don't need to keep, like again, I find it interesting Ubisoft might be bought, so they put the next AC and Far Cry on hold indefinitely right now. They haven't been bought out, but someone's looking to buy them. They won't say who. They won't say Microsoft, or Sony, or whatever. And I'm always looking towards, like I said, it's like it's interesting that me and you are talking about indie stuff because you can, it's not just some low budget, pixelated 8-bit games that are coming out, which is part of the indie scene. Stuff like Axiom Verge and stuff like that, which are great games in their own right. But it's interesting to see these small companies. When I talked about, I did a video on, I think at the time was Technomancer, and someone said, it's interesting that you did, you talked that game up so much. I was like, because everyone is bitching about how BioWare doesn't make BioWare type games anymore. It's all EA has all this control and it's this and that. I said Spiders is what BioWare was 10 years ago. And if you want BioWare, like old school KOTOR style type games that everyone loves, which is why they remastered the first one and the second one now. I have the first one on Switch. I love it.
you might want to hold off on the second one until they
Yeah,
finish it.
yeah,
Apparently, it's unbeatable.
yeah, it's pretty screwy. But yeah, I've heard that. I read about that. But I said there's no reason to shit on Spiders because they're making what you want if you would give it a chance. And I've said this about their games. I've played all of them. I have Mars Warlogs. I have Technomancer, which is a sequel. I have Greedfall. Greedfall's incredible. I was like, I have Bound by Flame. I even have Fairies Avalon, which is one of their first games. And they have slowly evolved into this really unique kind of like double A game developer. And Greedfall was the first game a couple years ago that got a lot of press on the internet. And not just because they said, oh, we don't have any fetch quests. It's because it's the first time that they had the most money they've ever had to develop their game. But that's another developer that I always look towards. I'm like, in all honesty, they have a small library. They've never really made a bad game. They are doing what BioWare used to do with like Jade Empire, and I wish they would remaster that. I love that game. You sold me on that years ago. I love Jade Empire. KOTOR 1 and 2 is great. Jade Empire, I don't think a lot of people did get into that. That game was great. I don't care what anybody says. That game was great. It had a slow opening. That game was fantastic. And anything, and of course, Mass Effect. You can't forget that.
That was a weird one for me too, like Jade Empire, because it was really fresh off of Knights. Then they went to Jade Empire, and I'm like, I don't know, but Knights was so good. So I'm like, I'll get it. It's cool, Kung Fu, whatever. And
it was good.
It was so good.
It was really good. And of course, they made Mass Effect, and then they made Andromeda, and they made Dragon Age 3. And I love Dragon Age. And you know what? And Andromeda, I still feel the same way I did about it when I did a video on it. I'm like,
it's a great game.
It's a great game.
It's got issues.
Well, they patched almost all of it out.
Or it had issues, but
And it's interesting.
And it was really, when it came out, it was one of the, it was at the time, for me, when I could really start seeing the shift to the toxic gaming thing. Like, people just they latch onto something and they tear it apart, and it's like, come on, man! Like, it's a great game.
Yeah,
it's really not much different than the originals, and it probably would have grown to become something even better had it had the support from the community.
Exactly. And the thing that I said, if you go back on the Gaming Roundtable, early stuff that I said about it was, I said this then, and I stick to what I said 3-4 years ago when I made the video, which is crazy. I've been making videos that long, but it was what I said stands. People were simply butthurt that they couldn't play as Shepard. His story arc was over. We had to pick a new guy. And the sad thing about that is, you can, weirdly enough, when I go back and I play Anthem, I see some of Andromeda and Anthem, the way that you can boost with the jetpack and things like that. Even though that game has flight, all the other stuff is very similar to that. Andromeda, yes, would I say is as epic and as insane as Mass Effect? Because Mass Effect was one of the reasons I wanted to buy a 360 when you showed it to me. And the fact that it's still to date, which is insane that no one ever copied this, because every game copies everybody else. You play the same character through 3 games. It's incredible.
Yeah, and the only one
that's ever done that. And it's not that I feel like that would be hard to do, but no one does that because they think if we do that, we'll just get compared and fuck it. But But Andromeda,
the only thing close to that is those like kind of narrative-driven games, right? Like The Walking Dead, the Telltale games.
Yeah, those are
They'll carry your progress forward. But it's across episodes, though. You're not like full-scale, 60-hour games.
Yeah.
In your whole game,
and
all your choices.
And the thing that I loved about the thing about Andromeda that I said was, once it was, especially once, because it was patched very quickly, I said, the thing that I did say, though, about that game then, on that video, if you go back, anybody go back and watch that. Look up Mass Effect Andromeda, Gaming Roundtable, whatever. I said, a lot of the people that made the original trilogy, when 3 was very much like heavy-handed on EA and they were kind of controlling things, most of those original BioWare people had already left. They were gone. They went and did whatever they went to other companies, whatever. So the people who made Andromeda, yes, it was BioWare, the company, but it was not. If you go back and look at the credits, it's a lot of people that were new, or at least carried over from other studios. So it wasn't the same people who made the original Mass Effect or KOTOR or any of that. Most of the original BioWare people were gone at that point. So a lot of people didn't.
Tuned on 3, but I really think the second one was the best one.
Yeah, the second one was great, even though it was more action and less RPG-ish. Even though there was RPG elements, I love the second one. The second one was great. The second one was the one that I felt like, God, I gotta make sure everybody is saved, and what the fuck, and if I don't, I know it won't, because Mass Effect was
ended on like a like Empire type of level, like you know, it was like cliffhanger, like he was ready for that next one.
Yeah, the thing is though, just to kind of point out, like we talking about these different games, these AAA titles, the indie titles, and vice versa. It's like I was saying, a lot of like my purchasing things that I do now, I look forward to like going on the PSN store on Tuesdays and Fridays, because a lot of times, and you know this, and you've seen this, some game will randomly come out. You're like, well, what the fuck is that? It wasn't even on the coming soon list. And you'll go like, what's that about? And you try to look up stuff about it. Sometimes you find stuff about it. Sometimes you don't. But you look at it and you go, wow, like that looks cool. Like I might want to get into that. And so
I regularly go across that new games and just see what's
new. Because stuff gets released. And I don't mean like necessarily, oh, we stealth launched it. It's just one of those things where you're like, huh, what's that about? That looks cool. And that wasn't.
Store was better, because it sucks ass, and it, like there's so many cool things on there, but I hate scrolling through the store on that.
Yeah, the store on that is rough. I do like one thing I will say about it that I like is if I leave it on the screenshot of the game, it'll play some of the game. So I can kind of see, but I don't like when I'm like, let's see what's on sale. 1,650 games are on sale. I'm like, for fuck's sake.
And it takes forever to scroll through.
At least they did a thing now where when you pick a filter, you can go, okay, checkmark RPG, checkmark shooter, and hit, and it'll just pull up that. So they have made some improvements, but the Switch store, I mean, it's like going through Steam. It's very much a Steam thing, but there's a lot of shovelware. But
it really works about as well as Nintendo's online service.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty. Interestingly enough, talking about indie titles on this. Let's go Switch. So for $2, I bought a game called Gangsta Magic, which is the worst title ever, but go look at this game. I played it. It's fucking great. It's like, wow. Like, this is not... It's got the shit title, right? But if you... Man, dude, I'm like... I cannot believe this game was $2. I was playing it. I was like, this is, like, incredibly fun. This is insane. I don't know why they even call it this. I don't even know why they even titled it that. You know, it's like, and so but yeah, the Switch is loaded. I have found a lot of games. One of the things owning the Switch, I do own games that I have bought twice on the Switch that I have on my PS4. But lately, in the last few months, last 2-3 months, I've said, you know what? I don't want to buy stuff I already own. I want to buy stuff that's kind of Switch centric. And I'm not talking about Mario, Metroid, and stuff like that. I'm talking about, like, I know for a fact that this game is not on PS4. It ain't coming on PS4. It's not going to be on there, right? Whether it's a racing game or this or that. I just started deciding that I'm only going to buy and pick up games on the Switch that I know for a fact 100% is not going to be on the PS4 or anything else. This is either a Steam thing that got put on Switch, and that's it. Because it's nice for me to turn on my Switch and go like, these are games that I know I'll never see on anything else. Right?
Yeah, there's a couple games I have on both, and it's mostly just like something like Crash Bandicoot, like when they re-released the trilogy. You know,
Yeah,
that's a good one to have on the Switch. You know,
yes, it is. Yeah, I agree.
Sake.
I agree.
But now I really do kind of like that. It's things that either just want it on there or it will only be on there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll break that exception. Like I just got because I had Tetris Effect on PS4,
which is good. It's a great game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And I was really wanting to play Tetris, but like I wanted to lay in bed and play it, and I didn't want to take a PS4 up there or whatever.
Makes sense.
So I got the Tetris connected on the Switch, and like it's really good. Because it was almost to the point to where I was going to go on eBay and find me an old school Game Boy just for Tetris.
Just for Tetris,
and play it, because all the Tetris games I would look at, it always did a bunch of weird shit. Like, you know, I don't know, like halfway Puzzle Fighter, halfway Tetris, or, you know, because I was looking at some of them for the DS, and like, I just want freaking Tetris. I don't want all this stuff. And I know the Tetris Effect isn't just Tetris, but it's like it's one of the coolest ones.
Yeah, no, Tetris Effect is great. Yeah,
it's basic, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's perfect mix, I think. So, but I did buy that again. Anyway, I don't know. You know, just like I bought that on both. I did have a concern with that one, by the way, of it being too small. Because, you know how that is on PS4. Like you got the playfield, but then you got all the effects and the whales swimming and shit like that. But if you have any kind of reservation like that, it has a handy zoom feature that you can really make it like it's perfect. It's a great one for this.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I end up looking through my Switch and some things that I own on there that is not on any other system. Stuff like I got a game that's kind of like your Rebel Galaxy style type of game called like War Commander or whatever, but you fly around a space and something or other. It's got a long title, but it's really, really good. And I have another game, another space type of game. God, what's it called? Like Manticore or whatever the hell. And then I've got like I've got a Book of Tales, and that's a Switch thing, a Steam thing. And you have 3 characters you can switch between them. You play as Snow White, you play as Dr. Jekyll, you play as Robin Hood. And it's all about this evil dark wizard that took like all like the characters from books, which are really real characters according to the fiction of the game. And it's like a Diablo style game, but you play as like Snow White's like she's a mage, and it's like it's so cool and so different, so unique. And the Switch has those titles. And so I look at the titles that when I'm scrolling through, I'm like, yep, that's only on Switch or Steam or both. And I'm like, I know it will never be on PS4. And so I buy a lot of those because I like having my Switch as my like alternative system. Like I'm playing this like there's a action RPG called Blade 2, and Blade 2 is not on anything other than computer and mobile. And that I also have Elder Scrolls Blades. Now I know the mobile version is very much like really egregious with microtransactions and grinding.
There's none on that one, is there?
There's none of that. There's none of that. Anything that was mobile that gets put on Switch, Nintendo's like, you know, fuck all that other bullshit. And to put it in layman's terms, they're like, you're not doing that. And Elder Scrolls Blades, which is based in the Oblivion universe, by the way, it's fantastic. It is so fun to play, and I've been playing it for a year. It's great. It has none of that egregious shit in it that's in the mobile version. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff, you could use in-game currency to buy like the green gem currency, and it's like everything about that is like they took everything that was bad about it and removed it. And so it's an Elder Scrolls game. So all the mobile titles that I have seen on the Switch, they have removed all that egregious transaction shit. Nintendo has basically, and I looked up an article, Nintendo has basically said, you can put it on our system, you will remove all that shit. That's essentially, I mean, there's a lot of like legal jargon, and
what
it's
they're
great.
doing these days. That
Yeah.
and with the lack of censorship and stuff.
Yeah. Nintendo,
knocking it
yeah.
apart.
It's weird that Nintendo's like doing the non-censorship stuff, which is like, and Sony's like, well, we're doing it, but so many people own their system, and that's why. But it's so interesting that the script is kind of flipped that way. But like I said, I mean, I love my Switch a lot.
Did you get Deadly Premonition 2?
No, I did not. I know. I love the first one. I have it on 360. I don't know. I didn't even realize it was actually on the fucking Switch. I need to.
Yeah,
I love the first
it's the
game.
only system it's on.
I love the first game. Love the first game. I had it on 360, and I was like, I really like this game, and I shouldn't, but I love it. Yeah.
Because they put both of them on the Switch. They did it's called Deadly Premonition Origins.
Oh, I gotta get that.
And I think they did some updates or something to it. I'm not sure. There's something they gave a little bit of love, I think.
Yeah.
And ported it, and then shortly after the second one came out.
Yeah, I didn't. I knew that the second was out. I didn't know they redid the first one, but I bought that game on a whim. Didn't know shit about it on the 360, and I played the shit out of that. I thought it was the craziest, weirdest.
I was like, this is the most boring thing.
It's fucking terrible. But then you're like, it was actually really good. It's very
charming at the same time. It's got its appeal for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why you haven't played it yet.
No, I didn't. I actually didn't even think about the fact that it's actually on the Switch. Now that I think about it, I do remember them saying it was on the Switch. But no, it's interesting, like I said, to, when we're, this whole roundtable has kind of been about indie titles versus AAA titles and the appeal of both and the different things and different philosophies that we have on games. And, I know that, like you were talking about with ESO and stuff, and I'm talking about the Dungeons of Sandaria game, and I'm like, I get both sides, and I'm like, but I look at I'm amazed at the fact that the Dungeons game, for bad or good, for being its price point and the randomized loot and I can go in and color my character's armor, and I made Drizzt from fucking the Dungeons and Dragons. I made fucking Thor, and then I had my mage, and I'm like, it's interesting to be able to to find a game like that came out of left field that a lot of people are going to pass on, and it's good, and that's why I'm like, I want to spread the word about it because it is good, and it's, that's why I did the video I did, and that's why I showed the gameplay, that's why I did what I did, because I wanted people to see, this is fantastic. If you like looters in games, and this has fuck ton of loot, everything is constantly dropping. It's all randomized, and there's different ways to build your character up in different ways. Yes, graphically it looks old school, but everything else is so solid, and I'm real happy that we do have these smaller game companies out there putting this stuff out, because no offense to, okay, so I own, on the 360, I own both Far Cry's, that's on that, and you go to PS4, and I own 3, I own 4, I own 5, all expansions for 5. I own New Dawn, the direct sequel to 5, It's the first time they did that, and I own 6. I own Primal. And I love Primal, by the way. And I'm like, but the game hasn't fundamentally changed in the last 10 years. And I want it to be different. And it's like, when they're talking about indefinitely putting off the next Far Cry, I even had Blood Dragon because I got that for free somehow, some way through one of my purchases. So I have all these fucking games, and I'm like, I just want, when I'm looking at titles and I'm looking at new games, I'm looking at stuff, and I see this and this and this and this coming out. Oh God, I'd love to play it. But I do find myself looking at the budget titles, the indie titles, more so than the newer stuff, because you know what? I've owned a lot of the Assassin's Creed games, but I'm like, I just don't want to play them anymore. I don't want to play them anymore. I own Unity, and Unity was like $7.99 a couple months, 2, 3, 4 months ago. I bought it because I was like, okay, so it's this time period, let's check it out. I said, fuck this game. I don't want to play it. I played it for like 2 days, and I was like, this is more or less the same. It's just during the France's revolution or whatever. I was like, I like Syndicate because of the London time period, and it's right around the Jack Ripper stuff. I'm like, I love that time period. I'm like, again, I was like, Odyssey was great. I loved all the loot and stuff in that, but like it borrows so much from the Lord of the Rings Shadow of War stuff. It's almost the same game. I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. I didn't buy, and crazy enough,
those formulas they feel that way.
I didn't buy Valhalla, and it's like, why didn't you buy Valhalla? It's Norse, Thomas. You love the Norse shit. Because I didn't want to play it. I just didn't want to play it. You got rid of the loot system, which I love in games. I love loot, and it's never gotten old to me. You did the different weapon sets, armor sets. Then you put out the Ragnarok expansion, which people had to pay for. But then it got so big, you put it out as a separate thing, and I could just download Ragnarok and play Ragnarok, and you put all the fantasy elements in it. And I'm like, my God, it's just constant. And the Far Cry, after going through Far Cry 6, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done.
Creed is these ginormous games, and they pump that shit out. Like, I remember saying it back then, like, it was like I don't have time to go through one before the next one's out.
11 months.
And it seems like it's always been that way with those games.
They held off.
Hear something funny?
Yeah.
Is I have Valhalla, I have Odyssey, but the last one I played was Origin.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Like, cause like I just get like I'll do those deals a lot of times, like
Yeah.
Like the buy two get one free or something.
Yeah.
Like that a lot of like GameStop and Target does all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like just looking for something to add in there because I'm getting some. So I'll pick like games like that because I'm sure they're good. Who knows when I'll play it, but so like it's funny because I had both those, and the last one I played was Origins, and I like it. I like Origins, and I don't know. I would check out Valhalla and Odyssey and stuff mainly just because it's the world, that setting to go play around in. But I don't know, that formula. It's cool, but it does get so tiresome.
No, it's played out. And they did the whole thing where in Valhalla where it's like for the single player campaign, and if you did zero side quests, right? It was like encroaching on like 100 hours. It's fucking ridiculous. And you switch between male and female. Like, Assassin's Creed, to me, it's like, there's certain ones I like over others. I like Syndicate, and I like Black Flag because it's the pirate one, and it was great. And then Rogue,
Black Flag is awesome.
and Rogue is amazing because it is the direct sequel to Black Flag, and it's cool to play an assassin that realizes they're not really all what they say they are, and so you join the Templars, and the reason you do that, you realize like a lot of what the assassins have said about them are bullshit. It's garbage. It's propaganda, and it was interesting to see that side of things. But like, I'm done.
Speaking of Switch, they have that bundle together, Black Flag and Rogue.
Yeah, it's great.
And, it was like recently on sale, like $10 for both of them or something.
That's great. That's a good deal. Yeah. The thing is though, those AAA titles that are coming out and that are like that, it's like AC, Far Cry, your CODs, your Battlefields. You know, these established, long-running franchises, they just, to me, it's kind of like, you know, I got Black Ops 3 for free, and it wasn't bad. I got Black Ops 4 when it came out, like about a week after it came out. I got a friend I worked with at the time convinced me to buy it. I fucking hate that game. I do not like it at all.
Which one was it? I'm sorry.
Black Ops 4. And I don't like that one. And then the last one that I actually physically went in the store and bought, and I bought it for like $20, was, and I still have the hard copy, it's Call of Duty Infinite, when they were the last of the futuristic titles. And and that was kind of like, it's not bad, but it's like, God damn, man, you fucking spawn in and you just die instantly, or it's shoot first, die first. The netcoding is shit. Yeah. And then I got World War II for free. It was given away for free 1 month because it didn't sell well. But then a bunch of their player base jumped up, and I was playing World War II. Oh, boots on the ground, whatever. And while it's fun, again, it just was another one of those situations where I was like, you know, I just don't want to play this. And it's weird to be in a position where these are the game companies I used to look to. And now I don't.
Yeah.
Now I don't.
Quality.
Now I don't.
And so, you know, the last Call of Duty I really liked, and actually, you know, because I feel like Call of Duty's really played out, but for me anyway, you know, I'm just sick of it personally. But I really like the remake they did of Modern Warfare. It's great.
Yes.
It's a solid one. I did get Cold War, but I tell you the only reason I got Cold War was because I got PS5, and I read about how the triggers were dynamic. Like, and, you know, depending on what gun, like the tension, and I wanted to play with that, so like I got it for that. But it's not, you know, I'm playing it like it's cool for that gimmicky wise, but it's the same old thing. So whatever. But the last one I enjoyed was that Modern Warfare. I probably will get that because they're, you know,
Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah. I probably will get it, I guess, to, you know, because I like the first remake so much. We'll see. I don't know. I'll probably at least check it out. But I just don't. I'm not a big like competitive shooter player anymore. Anyway, so we'll see.
Yeah, but no, like I said, I know we've gone a little long on this one tonight, and I just want to say that to the people who are fans of the Unpaid Gamers and Gaming Roundtable, which is a segment which I'm part of, and I'm very grateful to be a part of. Guys and girls and our community and our fans out there, whoever you are, what we mainly been covering tonight, other than the Normandy game and this game, and just talking and doing it a little bit differently, and just talking about our tastes and our histories of games, it gives you a little bit of insight to what John, Posthuman Guy, has been playing now and then some, myself included, with that as well, and just kind of talking about and showcasing the games that I bought recently, but just going into detail about what we were playing then, what we're playing now, and stuff. And so it's real important for everyone to know that, you know, we get it. Tastes change, opinions get swayed, different things happen, and what we liked 10 years ago might be not what we like now. And for me, it's always been, you know, the differences that me and John may have in our gaming taste. We also have a lot of similarities. And ultimately, though, video games should be about immersion and losing yourself and having a good time and having fun. And we've both played every genre of game that you can think of: racing, shooting, fighting, horror, survival horror, every genre you can think of across the board. We've owned multiple systems over the years, Xbox, your Nintendos, and everything. And we own multiple systems now. I mean, I'm looking right at my 360, my Wii U, my GameCube, my Switch, my PS4. John's got a plethora. He's got the new systems, the Xbox Series X, the PS5, PS4, Xbox One. He's got them all. And we just exactly. He's still got old school.
My
so
Commodore 64.
Yeah, Commodore.
Still.
So you go back.
Stuff
Yeah, exactly. So you get
a perspective from old ass gamers is really what it is.
Yeah, is what it is. And so we have seen different things come and go. And I want to tell y'all folks that, you know, it's fun for us to share our experiences and our tastes and things that we like. And you know, and as everybody knows, the Gaming Roundtable, I don't do game reviews because I feel like they're subjective. I've said this 1,000 times. But when I do tell you that I recommend something, I wholeheartedly hope that you all give it a look. And if John here recommends something, I hope heartily you give it a look, because we may not be like experts on anything, but we have been playing collectively for like decades. So when we say this or that about a game and how we feel about it, or how maybe you should do this or that, I mean, we mean it. We're truthful about it here on our channel. But I want everyone to understand that, you know, at the end of the day, everyone has their own taste, their own opinions, and that if you are swayed by our opinion, great, and you find a game that you really love, great. If you don't like it, well, you know what? You're shit out of luck, because that's just the way how things are. So we can't really, you can't really blame us.
Nick is, I mean, he's all about Call of Duty still. And, you know, he's like every year he pre-orders the next one. Like, he's already pre-ordered this one. I can't wait, you know, for October and stuff. You know, and he's 13. So, you know, there is a certain level of anything. Like, you kind of lose a little bit of, I wouldn't say like out of touch, but like, you know, there's like generational differences in taste and things.
Yeah.
So like, you know, Call of Duty still obviously is a churning money making machine that, you know, has these things. But, you know, I guess my point would be, it's just not always all about that, right? Like, there's plenty of enjoyment to be found across the board, and sometimes it is in those titles. Like, you know, Mass Effect was for many years the most emotional story I've ever had in a video game.
Yeah, it's true.
And that has only gotten surpassed semi-recently by The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Like, playing 1 and 2, like, from beginning to end, like, I don't know, if they ever make a 3, like, they got me, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's such an amazing story across the board, and, like, flawless execution. However, I bought that dumb horror adventure game that you played on your Halloween.
Which one?
Thing. The horror adventure is like $1 or whatever.
Oh yeah, the one that's like absolutely like kind of scared the shit out of me. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, I jumped at that. Yeah,
played it, but like I bought like that's in my library just because I don't know. It was appealing enough.
Well, you saw that because you saw like as low budget as it was, dude, that shit, the game was fucking scary. I mean, that was like, what the fuck? That game, and you remember the one, the Affliction game, where you're in that house, and, dude, that game, and you're in the kitchen, and the shit out, fuck that game. That game scared the shit out of me. I was legitimately like, what the fuck?
A couple games to my library from your thing. That was one that Welcome to Halo.
Halo was great because it was basically kind of like Silent Hill, you know, in first person. Yeah, I like that one.
You know, I think like it's important just to kind of be open to that kind of shit, right? And like for us, it's a little bit easier because being old school stuff, like it didn't really take a lot to be a cool game, you know.
No, it didn't. Yeah, no,
so,
it didn't.
I don't know. You know, you can find enjoyment in small things, and you know, and like something I talk about with Jacqueline all the time is things were like kind of different back then. I'm sure at a certain point for you too. By the time I knew you, it was a little bit different. But like for me, you know, I would get a game like every 6 months or something, like a birthday or something. Because you know, growing up, like. So, like, good or not, you had to play it for 6 months.
Yeah, you're playing some Dr. Franken on the Super NES, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you gotta kind of search out and find good in it. So, I don't know. You know, there's still something to that, right? Like, is horror adventure a good game? Probably not. But, like, it's kind of charming, too. I don't know. It's like a good time waster, I guess. And
interesting enough about the horror adventure,
$1 or $2 or whatever.
There's a VR version of it, which would be scary, and as silly and as simple as that game is, the whole point of that game is atmosphere. And one of the things that a lot of horror games, horror movies, horror genre, whatever, like lack is that atmosphere. Horror adventure, for good or bad, like, is very creepy. It gives you that atmosphere of dread, and it's about as indie as it gets. And when I played it during the Spooktacular October, I was sitting there telling myself, like, fuck that. And it was like, I walk in, lights turn off, what the fuck? Something as simple as that just was so effective. And when I played like that and Affliction and certain games during the Spooktacular, good or bad, it was like, man, the one game that stuck with me after I played it for a couple days literally was that like Affliction game where you're in that house and you go to the basement, you go here, and you're in the kitchen, and the shit's like the cabinets are like like the doors are moving on the cabinets. That game was so legit, and I remember Desiree telling me that night, my fiance, she said, you know, I was watching you play that, and I could not play that game. It would freak me out. I was like, yeah, that game is fucking scary. Like, it's... So, I mean, horror adventure is scary, Affliction is scary, different things, those different games, and so... Interesting.
Remind me back in the day, like, in PlayStation, like Resident Evil, I remember... you know, watching a friend play it, and it's like, I don't want to play it, but I'll watch you play it.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, those indie titles, and I'm not even talking about jump scares, because fuck that. The atmosphere is very oppressive. And so you feel, when you're playing it, you feel like, I mean, I remember during the Spooktacular October thing that I did, a couple, 2-3 games that just stood out was like, 5 minutes, not even that, and playing it, I was like, yeah, fuck this. Like, this is some bullshit, right? And so much of that was indie. So much of that was indie titles. So much was that, like Outlast is terrifying. And
it is, too, yeah.
And all of that is based around that atmosphere. And I hate to say that, I love Resident Evil, but Resident Evil has been scary for a long time. And 7
Yeah.
was when
Tense. It can be tense.
Yeah,
Like
7 was
yeah.
very tense, and 7 had its moments. And I remember playing 7, not even playing it VR, just playing it and going. And I did get the chance to play it VR, which was incredible. But it was like, man, I'm just like, fuck that. But it wasn't like, atmospherically speaking, it wasn't like, okay, I'm scared, like I'm physically frightened. Yeah, and where some of that indie stuff is like simple as walking around a house with some very low, very whatever music and things going on, and I'm just like the whole time it was the atmosphere, the feel of this is normal, this is like an everyday place, but something about it is not right. It's kind of like John Carpenter said about, like when he talked about the movie Chinatown. So it's Chinatown, San Francisco. It's very normal. But everything's kind of filmed in this blue like light. And everything looks a little off. And horror games need to have that atmosphere and have that something is not quite right, even though everything looks normal. And so one of the things is though, but with games in general, looking at games, every genre across the board, and I don't want to get onto a horror rant, but I'm just saying that it's interesting that what that game presents and what it's trying to do, to me, is very important. So, like, go back to Orbital Racer. It's a fictitious thing, it's a fiction thing, it's bullshit, but interestingly enough, in the career, you have sponsors, you have calendars, you have news, you have this, as if it was a real thing, a tangible thing. And so, getting into games that bring some of that realism, right, where I'm not having my suspension of disbelief broken into multiple pieces. It's nice. And it's strange that you always look to like the big developers to give us the best game experiences. And because they have turned over the last few years into, well, we have to play it safe because we're worried that if we innovate too much or change too much, we'll alienate our original people. This game will fail, and since we have a crazy budget, we can't afford that loss. So, but then you turn around and say, well, the indie company's like, it doesn't matter to us. We are doing what we have to do given our budget constraints, knowing that there's 9 or 10 of us involved or even less. It's like we have to do something that sets us apart and makes it a little bit different. And on my PS4 and on my Switch, again, another time where I own both of them, I have a survival / zombie game. Oh, God, what's it called? It's called like Arctic Z or something like that. It's open world, but it's generally frightening. It doesn't have the best graphics, but it's like when the wind blows, your coat's blowing and you're doing things and you do have objectives, and it's like, as much as anybody would look at that and say, well, that's shit, the atmosphere is great. It's because the indie developers don't have that publisher telling them, do this, do that, make it a live service, make it this. So I do look to the indie scene more now than I ever did before because of that. Because they don't have that, they don't have somebody breathing down their neck.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's what I was saying kind of earlier in a lot of ways. And I don't know, you know, I look for them and I get a lot of days and I play a lot of stuff for lots of different reasons, the indie stuff. And, you know, partially just time constraints. And, you know, you can get more kind of bite-sized games through indies too. So it's easier to jump in, jump out and stuff. But I'm also just, I'm just burnt out on so many different types of games. So I like trying different things. And sometimes it's, big major budget stuff like Death Stranding, or it's, um, I know Demon Souls isn't a new genre, but like I'm not a Souls player, right? So like Demon Souls for PS5, it's triple
Yeah,
it, like
and
the
I love
best
Souls
looking thing
games.
you
Yeah.
get, try that, or you know, but also just even weird shit. Like I got that game. It's called Away. I don't know if you know what it is, but you're
I
like a
know. I'm
squirrel,
familiar with it. Yeah. You
you know,
play. You play.
or
Yeah. Like,
yeah, or like I still love Minecraft because it's just different. Like there's still not much like Minecraft,
no, there isn't.
right? I got into Stellaris for a bit because it's different.
Yeah.
Speaking of survival horror, I had got that Medium game because it's cool.
Yes. 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 I've heard about that. I've seen
Um,
stuff on that. Yeah.
yeah, it's neat because you're playing both like the spirit realm and the real world at the same time, kind of stuff. I just like different things. Some of those things that are not different, over and over, I'll get that I'm just a big fan of. But for the most part, I just like I just want to try something different that's not just been played out and played to death.
Yeah.
Um,
I
I got
agree.
that. They haven't get to play it yet, but that Swan Song, Vampire Masquerade
Yeah.
Swan Song, because it looked interesting.
Yeah, it does. And actually has gotten pretty good reviews. I actually have Vampire the Masquerade, like the Cordies of New York and the Shadow of New York. Those narrative
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
pick your own thing. And I'm
And
not
I'm a
normally.
huge FMV game
Yeah.
fan.
There's a lot of
As
those.
you
Yeah.
know. So anyway, what were we saying?
No, but I've got those, and it's good. Like you said, like I'm with you. It's like it's good to try things that are different and unique, and not what we, and to try to broaden our horizons with video games. Because, excuse me, for the Far Cries and the Halos and all that, and all those games have good things about them, obviously, and the Assassin's Creeds and whatnot. It's again one of those things where you're like, had you or I not looked to other smaller games, companies and otherwise, we might have missed out on some of those experiences. Because if you're a player that just, I've got to buy only the AAA stuff, great, you're going to get a good experience for the most part, but you're going to get the same experience over and over again. So me and you embracing some of the indie titles out there, it really broadens our horizons. That yes, you won't always 100% of the time get something and you're like, wow, this is great. You're going to get some bad, but that's a chance you got to take. And that's the thing that you have to tell yourself, like, I'm getting into this game, there's the internet, so I have a lot of information at my discretion. You hope you have, to make an informative purchase. Going back to Dungeons of Sandaria, there was virtually nothing on information on it. Went to YouTube, Dungeons of Sandaria PS4 review or almost nothing except a trailer. And I was like, okay, well, based on the trailer that wasn't even on the PSN store, just game broadcast, so nobody was broadcasting nothing. I was like, well, I know the game just came out. There's nothing on this shit, but the trailer sold me. I'll buy it, and if it sucks, I can delete it, or I can keep it on there and just try to work my way through it. But again, going back, love the game. And sorry, I'm yawning. And it's just, again, one of those things, it's that risk and reward kind of scenario where it's like, I risked the purchase and got rewarded ultimately for my efforts. So, and just kind of looking at this game, Orbital Racer, playing it, bought it, it's cheap, but it ended up being really good for what it's doing. Normandy, bought it, $15. It's not great by any stretch of the means, but it's passable. And like you said earlier, I won't give up on it. I'll end up playing it, trying to get through it, get better at it, and we'll stick with it. Hope there's an update. But again, like I said, yeah.
One thing, maybe, here's an idea. Maybe I should, like, every week go on the store, like New Games or whatever, and, like, the rule is I have to buy something. And
Yeah.
like $5 or under.
Yeah.
And then, like, play it and stream it and see what, you
could do that.
Whatever.
You could do that.
Because, that could get really interesting.
Yeah, it could. Absolutely. It'd be an interesting, segment, for sure.
Because sometimes there ain't much to pick from on there.
No, there isn't.
It would be like Adventures of Chris or whatever.
Yeah, you're like, no.
The Jumping Sandwich. I don't know. Could be, I don't know. Could be.
You could do that. But I will say this, because I think we should wrap things up. I think me and you both are probably tired and yawning. I've been yawning, you've been yawning. But here's the thing. So tonight, this episode started with Normandy. We went to this other game. And I want to apologize for the game crashing, uncontrollable situation on Normandy.
I know.
But But here's the whole thing, guys. So, Unpaid Gamers on YouTube.com and Twitch.com. We want to thank you for tuning in, watching our program. Got tuned in and tuned out. Watching our program, subscribing to our channel. I'm very happy to be a part of it. I've been a part of it for a little while now, and Gaming Roundtable is always going to bring you, controversial or otherwise, stuff that's my opinions and the things that I feel about. I'm going to show you a lot of different games if I can, and I'm not trying to tell you to buy or sway you to do anything. I don't review anything, but I do kind of showcase some stuff, and I do have some segments, and John here, also known as Posthuman Guy, he also streams stuff. Band Lost was streaming, again, Apex Legends. But you know what? Unpaid Gamers, that's what we're about. You're getting our unfiltered opinion about things in the game industry or games in general, or how we feel about different games. We're not paid to do this. We don't have crazy advertisement revenue coming in, as much as that'd be great, because then we'd have to change the name to Paid Gamers. That doesn't work. So, but the point is that I always appreciate you guys tuning in, and if you do have any questions, comments, or suggestions for games you'd like to see me play, I own most of the library at this point, so please hit me up at gamingroundtableupg@gmail.com. That's gamingroundtableupg@gmail.com. That's all one word. You can always email me. I check it daily. I haven't gotten a lot of emails of late, which is fine. But again, we have a smaller subscriber base. I don't know about John here, but I know my followers on PSN, I've got over 60, which is pretty, to me, while not seems like a low number, to me I think it's pretty good. And I do appreciate you all every day and anytime you tune in. I'd like to apologize for the sporadicness of my videos, where I'm not always doing something every week, every day. I probably should. But sometimes I just get bogged down and there's things coming up outside of this that prevents me from doing that. John has a similar thing. He has a family, a wife, a child, and he's very busy with his job too. So we don't always have the ability to every day throw up 10 videos or whatever. Some people do that. We don't. But me and him both have, I just appreciate him coming on here on the Gaming Roundtable. I love having him on here, hearing his side, his opinions, his stories, and it's great. And again, thank you so much, John, for graciously allowing me to be part of the Unpaid Gamers Network. The Gaming Roundtable has weirdly enough, been going strong for well over 3 years. Lots of videos out there, which is crazy, right? So, and again, thank you for letting me be on the show, and I appreciate your opinion and the things that you saw with Normandy. It was a lot of fun playing that game, as janky as it was, and you getting to see these two games that I just bought, and I kind of like this format, what we're doing. It's been really fun, and again, I want everyone out there to subscribe to Unpaid Gamers on YouTube.com, and we do stream occasionally on Twitch, primarily YouTube. And again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And John, again, thank you so much for being part of the Gaming Roundtable.
Yeah, no worries. Always fun.
Do you have? Yes, it seems like. Do you have anything coming up that you might be streaming? Anything coming up with Unpaid Gamers? Anything you'd like to announce?
Not specifically, no. But okay. I will be streaming something.
I think that you should stream, and this is a suggestion, I think you should stream some ESO. Let's see your character. Let's see what you've been doing in the game since you just got back into it. Let's see what's been up. I'd love to see. Yeah, I'd love to see what you've been doing because I know that game.
Tell you what, so the level cap, right? Like,
yeah,
been, a while, and I think when I stopped playing, it was like champion level, like 800 and something. Yeah. It's like 3,000 now.
That's insane. Yeah, that's insane. Like fuck. Yeah. Like you can't even get there. You'd be playing for years. Yeah, so that's pretty crazy.
But yeah, I could do that. There's a lot of games that I haven't played, and like we're after 4th of July, so like how we are spooky selves over here. Always traveling to haunted places, always intentionally staying in the most haunted places we can. And,
yeah.
We're been gearing up for Halloween already, and like not so much Halloween because it feels so like I don't know. Like Halloween's kind of year round for us.
Yeah, but it's like 3 months, right, from October.
Yeah, a little like the gothic decor and stuff's coming out for Halloween, so like we've been kind of in that mode. So,
yeah.
I don't know, like I got that Vampire Swan song I mentioned. I got that Medium that I got just sitting around that I haven't even checked out. One of those might be good to stream and play.
Yeah. Maybe I think Medium would be a good one to stream. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, and coming up on the Gaming Roundtable, if we can get our ducks in a row in the wrestling thing, we talked about the Unpaid Gamers or UPGW thing that we're going to do with the wrestling. I hope that we can get that going. I will have to re-download WWE 2K22, but I know my hard drive space is very limited, so I got to figure out. I might have to delete some stuff to make the space for it. Since my external basically shit the bed. But also, like I said, I didn't even think about it. And when we're in July, so July, August, September, October, so 2 months and a day, a little over 2 months, like I said, I will be back with the Spooktacular October again. That's coming up on Game Roundtable. I definitely want to do that because the Halloween stuff I did every night was really good. And John, I want to invite you to be part of that if you like on a couple, 2, 3, 4 games, whatever, however you like, to party up. And you can kind of help me out and just kind of comment, and we'll talk about horror. And I think it was very successful last year, and I think it's something that I enjoyed, my fiance enjoyed. Her youngest sister actually was on some of the episodes and enjoyed it, and I want to kind of play some more of the horror games. I'm definitely going to play some of the ones I played last year that I may not have been able to complete, or at least play to the extent that any person that subscribes to our channel likes, or otherwise. And I will be getting some new ones. Like I said, I've been really looking at Tormented Souls, Made of Scare, and a few others. And I have the first Evil Within. I'd like to get the second one. After a certain part, it becomes like an open world game. I want to get into some other those type of horror. I might even play some of the Resident Evils that I have, and I'd like to get into. I don't want to just do a repeat of last year and play the same fucking games. Would it be complete without playing an Outlast? Hell no. Outlast is great, scary game, and
I got some ideas. I think that related to what you're doing.
That'd be great.
I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah, anything would help out. Yeah,
I got an idea. I think.
And I might get into some multiplayer stuff too. I know I played Dead by Daylight and Friday 13th, and like I said, there's still some. Excuse me. There's still some horror. There's so much horror out there. So, and like I said, we'll be doing that's coming up in the next couple months. So we'll be doing that, and I am going to try, especially after this month, to stream a little bit more, to provide you and show you all some new games and stuff. And of course, I'm going to stream some Dungeons of Sandaria again, because I'm further along and I want to show some of the other stuff that I have done in that game. And we're going to do some of that, and hopefully we will shore up some stuff between me and John. We will be bringing you another video, me and him commenting and talking and stuff, because we really enjoyed that. And again, John, thank you for being part of the Gaming Roundtable, pulling up a chair and discussing our various tastes and looking at the indie games and comparing it to AAA and what's more important and whatnot. Yeah, no, I appreciate it a lot. Anyway, folks, this has been another great episode, a little long as it always is when we're both talking about our games, here on the Gaming Roundtable, brought to you by Unpaid Gamers on YouTube.com and occasionally on Twitch.com. I got terrible hiccups. I apologize. But we are on YouTube.com. Please subscribe to that channel. Please subscribe to Posthuman Guy, and continue to subscribe to Ban Lost. Bring him back into the fold. Maybe he'll start playing Apex again. And again, check out Posthuman Guy's streams and subscribe to that. Gaming Roundtable, subscribe to that. And again, as I said before earlier, you can contact me through Gaming Roundtable UPG at gmail.com. That's Gaming Roundtable UPG at gmail.com. And thank you again for joining us here on this very long episode of the Gaming Roundtable. And we will see you on the next episode of the Gaming Roundtable. And as always, gamers, good gaming. All right.